cyber risk management is just a huge area of focus and investment for organizations. And yet we still see a lot of successful attacks. So it suggests that companies are not doing as much as they should be doing, or are not investing in a way that is as effective as it should be.
Initially, the risk management approach is a very complicated task when speaking of cybersecurity, especially that there are so many sources and so many assets and so many security tools to work with, that all of them generate for you a lot of exposures that you as a security practitioner or executive need to deal with. It could be something coming from your cloud environment, from your vulnerability scanner, from your EDR. And what do I do? How do I manage all that risk? The good news are that last year, Gartner came out with a very good approach called CTEN, the Continuous Threat Exposure Management Program, where they actually suggest organizations to follow a very structured flow of exposure management. Now, first of all, I would say that the first thing that they changed there is the terminology. We're not speaking anymore in vulnerabilities or misconfigurations. We put it all in the same basket called exposures. Once we put this all in the same basket called exposures, and we treat all these exposures according to the same measures, we can start comparing different, I would say, exposures from different languages. What's more critical, a CVE, a vulnerability on one of my servers, or an exposed S3 bucket on the client? How can I compare them when they're speaking completely different languages? CVEs have CVSS, the cloud exposure have different things. And how we put it all together, prioritize, validate, and then mobilize our teams to really take action against all these. And I think that this is exactly where Cymulate really kicks in that context. First of all, being able to gather these exposures, but also add a very important phase, which is the validation. If we go to the Log4j vulnerability, so many organizations rushed to patch different production servers, different production applications. Why? Because it was very noisy, it was very critical vulnerability, and it was important. However, it's not best practice to rush and patch your production servers that fast without proper validation, without proper testing. What if I told you that before doing that, you could implement a very simple WAF rule to basically have your WAF protect you against potential exploitation of them? And then you could also validate that and see that, hey, Log4j builds are not passing through my WAF anymore. And maybe it would allow you to take some time, do your tests, go ahead and patch that. Now, that's a single example, but think of it in scale. You have so many vulnerabilities. How many of them could be virtually patched by compensating security controls? How many of the priorities you have could potentially be changed knowing that there is a security control compensating over that? So once you have the validation capability to really test your security controls with the associated techniques of that exposure, it could completely change the priority and the way you look at these exposures.
If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Security Ledger podcast. Visit securityledger.com/subscribe or use your favorite podcast app, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.